When we read lyric poetry, we are experiencing some of the moods and emotions that the poet has set down for us in musical language. In any collection of lyric poems, we find expressions that range through many different emotions. Here is one expressing the poet's yearning for his homeland. Oh, to be in England, now that April's there. And whoever wakes in England sees some morning unaware that the lowest boughs and the brushwood sheaf round the elm tree bole are in tiny leaf, while the chaffinch sings on the orchard bough in England now. Perhaps this is not the exact scene in England that Robert Browning had in mind when he wrote his beautiful lyric, but this poem and other English lyrics reflect the country of England, where much of our best lyric poetry was written. But what is lyric poetry? Is it different from other poetry? The earliest poetry in England, as in most countries, was narrative poetry. That is, story poetry about kings and castles and epic deeds of English history. One of the best-known narrative poems is Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. In the tales, a group of medieval pilgrims tell stories in poetic form. In medieval times, narrative poetry was a popular form of literature. Closely related to narrative poetry was dramatic poetry, a kind of narrative poetry set to action. Shakespeare's plays are among the finest examples of dramatic poetry. In some of the plays, we find another form of poetry, simple songs. Such songs were among the earliest lyric poems. Among Shakespeare's lyrics are many that have appeal even today. It was a lover and his lass, with a hey and a ho and a hey nonny no, that o'er the green cornfield did pass in the springtime, the only pretty ring time, when birds do sing, hey ding a ding ding, sweet lovers love the spring. Such lyric songs are part of lyric poetry. Among modern poets, the lyric songs of Alfred Houseman are famous for their interpretation of the Shropshire country of England. That is the land of lost content. I see it shining plain, the happy highways where I went and cannot come again. In Houseman's simple lyrics, we share the poet's experiences. When I was 21, I heard a wise man say, "Give crowns and pounds and guineas, but not your heart away. Give pearls away and rubies, but keep your fancy free." But I was 21. No use to talk to me. Life, love, the passing of time. These are some of the broad concepts expressed in lyric poetry. Sometimes the subject matter of a poem is very specific. In A Quiet Garden, Thomas Moore may have found the rose for his lyric. Rose, thou art the sweetest flower that ever drunk the amber shower. There are many lyric poems that have been inspired by specific scenes. Alfred Tennyson's poem, The Brook, was inspired by a stream in Lincolnshire, where the poet lived. Tennyson makes the brook speak in simple lyrical language. I make a sudden sally and sparkle out among the fern to bicker down a valley. And yet, beneath these delightful word pictures, the poem has a deeper meaning. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. For the poet Shelley, a cloud was the specific inspiration for one of his most famous lyrics. I bring fresh showers for the thirsting flowers from the seas and the streams. I bear light shade for the leaves when laid in their noonday dreams. I'm the daughter of earth and water and the nursling of the sky. I pass through the pores of the ocean and shores. I change, but I cannot die. flower? A brook? A cloud? These are a few of the specific things that have inspired lyric poets of England. The power and grandeur of lyric poetry reach full expression in the sonnets and odes of John Keats. Keats found beauty in almost everything he experienced. The song of a nightingale in a garden filled him with thoughts that are among the loftiest ever expressed in poetry. To Keats, the bird was a symbol of beauty. Away, away, for I will fly to thee, not charioted by Bacchus and his pards, but on the viewless wings of poesy. Throughout the poem, Keats gives us image after image of beauty, the immortal beauty which the nightingale symbolized for him. But the inspirations of lyric poetry are as varied as life itself. Here, in the midst of the great city of London, William Wordsworth was inspired to write his sonnet called "Composed upon Westminster Bridge." Dull would he be of soul, he declared, who could pass by a sight so touching in its majesty. The city now doth like a garment wear the beauty of the morning, silent, bare. Wordsworth goes on to describe the city, its towers and domes, and the emotion he feels when looking at all this. Ne'er saw I, never felt a calm so deep. The river glideth at his own sweet will. Dear God, the very houses seem asleep, and all that mighty heart is lying still. Almost every emotion of human life has been expressed in lyric poetry. Even the somber theme of death has inspired some of the greatest English poems. Here in Stoke Poges, Thomas Gray wrote his famous elegy about a country churchyard. The poet tells his thoughts as he wanders here, reflecting on the people who have gone before him. Each in his narrow cell forever laid, the rude forefathers of the hamlet sleep. Gray describes the evening scene. The curfew tolls the knell of parting day. The lowing herd winds slowly o'er the lea. The plowman homeward plods his weary way, and leaves the world to darkness and to me. Similar thoughts of human fate and of eternity are expressed in Matthew Arnold's beautiful elegy called Dover Beach. The sea is calm tonight. The tide is full. The moon lies fair upon the straits. The cliffs of England stand glimmering and vast out in the tranquil bay. Listen. You hear the grating roar of pebbles which the waves draw back and fling at their return up the high strand. Begin and cease, and then again begin. To Matthew Arnold, this vision symbolized the sea of faith. Faith retreating to the breath of the night wind, down the vast edges drear and naked shingles of the world. The world of lyric poetry is rich in beauty, in grandeur, in lofty emotions. Out of England, out of English scenes and English life, have come many of our greatest lyric poems. Poems created by English authors who took impressions from the paths they roamed, from the flowers they loved, from the places they knew. These poets have given us a wide range of experiences. They have written about ideas and impressions, about memories and dreams, about love and laughter, about all the things that are part of life and part of lyric poetry.